Ma'am, which floor are you headed to?
28th. I live here.
What kind of work do you do?
I work in law at the federal courthouse.
Can we see your identification?
Here it is. Everything is correct.
This doesn't look right.
You are detaining me without legal cause.
Stay where you are, ma'am.
I am a federal...
Instead of taking the elevator to the 14th floor where the actual complaint originated, Rodriguez and Thompson found themselves heading to the 28th floor, where Judge Patricia Williams lived in peaceful silence. The elevator ride that changed everything began innocuously enough. Patricia had entered first, pressing the button for her floor, and settling back against the wall with her briefcase and purse. She was still wearing her black judicial robe, having decided to change clothes once she reached her apartment rather than using the courthouse facilities. The robe was a symbol of her authority and the respect she commanded in her professional life, but it would prove powerless against the prejudice she was about to face. Rodriguez and Thompson stepped into the elevator just as the doors were beginning to close. They noticed Patricia immediately, their eyes scanning her appearance with the kind of scrutiny that she had learned to recognize over the years. She offered a polite nod, the kind of courteous acknowledgement that people in professional buildings typically exchanged, but neither officer responded. Instead, they positioned themselves in a way that made the small elevator space feel suddenly cramped and intimidating. Patricia pressed herself against the back wall, a subtle defensive move born from years of navigating spaces where her presence seemed to make others uncomfortable. She had experienced this feeling countless times throughout her career, that moment when she could sense someone questioning whether she really belonged in a particular place or position. But this felt different. This felt more aggressive, more threatening than the usual microaggressions she had learned to endure in professional settings. As the elevator began its slow ascent, Officer Rodriguez broke the silence with a question that immediately set Patricia on edge. He asked her what floor she was going to, despite the fact that she had already pressed the button and the elevator was clearly heading to the 28th floor. The question seemed innocent enough on the surface, but the tone carried an undertone of suspicion that made Patricia's pulse quicken. She responded politely, explaining that she lived on the 28th floor and was heading home from work. Rodriguez and Thompson exchanged a look that Patricia caught in her peripheral vision, a silent communication that suggested they found her answer somehow questionable or suspicious. Thompson then asked what kind of work she did, a question that had no legitimate purpose given the circumstances, but seemed designed to challenge her right to be in the building. Patricia hesitated for just a moment, weighing her options. She could have simply said she worked in law, which was technically accurate but vague enough to avoid complications. She could have mentioned that she was a federal judge, which might have immediately changed the dynamic, but could also come across as name-dropping or trying to intimidate the officers. Or she could have politely declined to answer, pointing out that she had no obligation to discuss her personal life with strangers in an elevator. She chose the middle path, explaining that she worked in the legal field and was returning home from the federal courthouse. It was a truthful answer that provided some context, without being overly specific or confrontational. But instead of satisfying the officers' curiosity, her response seemed to increase their suspicion. Rodriguez stepped closer, invading her personal space in a way that made the already small elevator feel claustrophobic and threatening. The elevator continued its climb, each floor bringing them closer to what should have been Patricia's safe haven, but was instead becoming the stage for a confrontation that would expose the worst aspects of racial profiling in law enforcement. Patricia could feel the tension building, could sense that something was about to go terribly wrong. Her years on the federal bench had given her an acute awareness of power dynamics and the signs of escalating conflict, and every instinct was telling her that these officers were looking for a reason to detain or confront her. What happened next would be captured in crystal clear detail by the elevator's security camera, providing indisputable evidence of an encounter that would shock the legal community and prove that racial profiling remained a persistent and destructive force in American policing. Thompson moved even closer,